In this production tutorial episode, we will deconstruct the latest idea by the Prydz that is currently blowing up the radio shows and the live sets. We will deconstruct his signature drums, then we will move to the bass layering and of course the signature synth section and arrangement. And now guys, no more words needed, let's go! Hey guys, welcome to this special production tutorial episode, and before we will begin, I don't have a goal to completely copy this ID, I made my own version. Now let's deconstruct the low end and especially the kick. We will use the really short and punchy kick that works really well in this type of the progressive house, and also we will apply the transient shifter to enhance the punch of the kick. Now let's move to the signature Prydz bass. He is using the bass with the 1 to 8 notes. First of all, we need to start building our bass section with the sub bass. This ID was produced in the F minor key. And let's start building the bass section with the root note of the track. And as you can see in the middle of the drop, we are starting to change the bass notes. As you can see in this idea, we're using 3 layers of the bass, but before we'll move to the other layers, let's deconstruct the processing. And here's the preset that we're using for the sub bass. And here's the simple processing, we're starting with the utility and sending the sub to the mono. With the help of the utility, we're cleaning the sub frequencies and also we're boosting the body of the sub. Now let's move to the sidechain. Comparing to the other layers, right there we're using the really deep ratio. On the sub we really need to create this pumping effect. Now we need to give the character to this bass and we're moving to the second layer. And here's the mid bass, the preset that we're using for the mid bass. And I hope you can remember guys, when we're layering the sounds, it's very important to pick up the presets with the different character. So in this preset I really love the character of the mid frequencies. And right there with the help of the EQ we're highlighting the mid frequencies. Now let's move to the sidechain and take a closer look on the ratio. Comparing to the sub bass where we're using the ratio around 4, right there we're using the ratio 1 to 45. And now let's move to the third layer, the top one. Comparing to the mid layer, this one is more aggressive. And here's the preset that we're using for this layer. And we're using the tones of the processing here. Let's turn off the processing chain. And a few words about this processing chain. With the help of the utility we're playing with the width, also with the help of the saturation and the flanger we're giving a bit of the movement and dynamic. Also we're applying the reverb on this layer, and with the help of the EQ we're helping to highlight the mid frequencies. Here's the EQs. Now let's move to the sidechain. On this layer we're using the same amount of the ratio like on the mid layer. And the final touch on the whole group of the basses, we're using the EQ and we're cleaning the mid frequencies just a bit. Now let's have a listen to the low end in the mix. And now we're moving to the parallel compression. Let's take a closer look on the right bottom corner. As you can see, right there we're having the send return channel with the parallel compression. And now let's move to the right top corner. We will use the parallel compression on the kick and the whole bass section. And right now we need to send the kick and the whole bass section on the parallel compression channel. On this channel we're having the glue compressor with the minimum amount of the attack, release and the ratio. And all we need to do is to play with the threshold knob. Let's do this process from the beginning. Right now we're sending the kick. Now we're sending the bass section. And now we need to reduce the threshold knob until we will see the -5. And now all we need to do is to mix up the volume of this send return channel with the parallel compression. You can use this trick on the drums, on the synths, but I really like to use this trick on the low end. It really helps the low end of the track sound just a bit more tight. Okay guys, we've done all the work with the low end, and now let's move to the drums. And when you are thinking about the Prydz drums, what's the first thing that comes to your mind? I think all of you answered the one thing, the heavy snares. As you can see guys, right there we're using 2 layers of the snare. Here's the main, and the second layer, support. On the first main layer of the snare we're using the reverb. With the help of the EQ we're helping to highlight the higher frequencies. Now let's move to the second support layer. With the help of the EQ we're reducing the body just a bit with the help of the shell filter. And we're processing the group of the snares with the help of the compressor. By layering 2 different snares with the different character, we're creating the really wide and punchy snare. And now let's move to the rest of the drum section, the heads and shakes. Right there we're using the loop of the closed heads, open head and the shakers. And now let's move to the right bottom corner. We're processing this heads and shakes group with the help of the send return channel. We're giving the short reverb to the drums. And the last one, we're processing the whole group of the drums with the help of the EQ and the glue compressor. With the help of the EQ we're reducing the lower frequencies, we're boosting the punch of the snare, and also we're boosting the higher frequencies. And with the help of the glue compressor we're gluing all the drums together. Okay guys, we've done all the work with the drums, and now finally let's move to the signature synths. First of all, let's start with the preset that we'll use for the main lead. For the main layer of the lead, we will use the really tight, melodic and detuned plug. And now let's have a listen to the notes itself. And as you can see guys, here's the interesting trick with the first notes. So as you can see guys, when we're putting all the first notes into the one line, it sounds not so interesting, right? And starting from each second note, the melody itself jumping higher. In the first part of the drop, the melody sounds minor, we're always going down. And starting from the middle of the drop, the second line of the notes going up, and the melody itself sounds more uplifting. And of course, this part of the melody works really well with the bass that's changing alongside this melody. And in the third part of the drop, we will use only the one note, and we will use this part in the intro, in the build-up, and when the drop ends. Now let's move to the processing of this lead. With the help of the OTT, we're compressing the signal of this lead just a bit. With the help of the pedal, we're making the saturation on the lead, and with the help of the EQ, we're highlighting the higher frequencies and giving just a bit of the body. And a small compression here. And now guys, let's move to the second support layer. Right there, the character of the second support layer is reminding us the main lead from the track of the Prydz called Generate. And first of all, how I can describe the second support layer? The slow attack and longer decay. We will use this layer to extend the body of the main layer. Using these two layers together will give the complex sound to the main lead. And right there we're using the same processing like on the main layer. Sorry, right there we need to remove the sidechain because we will use the sidechain on the whole group. And now let's have a listen to these layers one by one. And now we will process the whole group of the main lead through the send return channel. On this send return channel we have a noise and the EQ. And with the help of the send return channel we will make this whole group of the main lead just a bit more noisy. Now we will mix the volume of the send return channel. And now let's move to the processing of the whole group of the main lead. We're having the utility here. With the help of the utility it's easier to mix the volume balance. With the help of the first EQ we're cutting off lower frequencies and we're boosting the body. And for the reverb right there we're using the Valhalla Supermassive. I'm using one of my favorite presets for the synths, the C-beams. So let's listen with and without. I really love the atmosphere that we're having with the help of the Valhalla. And with the help of the second EQ we're making the general low frequency cut and also we're reducing a few dB to clean up the top of the higher frequencies. And now we're moving to the sidechain and movement. Let's start with the sidechain. As you can see we don't really need the deep ratio here. And here's the main trick to give the movement and dynamic to this lead. We will apply the tremolo. So let's listen with and without. Now let's have a listen to the main lead in the mix. Now let's have a listen to the main lead starting from the beginning of the drop. Now we're playing the main lead alongside the bass on the root note. Starting from this part, the bass and the main melody are changing. Okay guys, we've done all the work with the main lead and now let's move to the atmosphere. Nothing complex, right there we will use only two layers of the atmosphere. Here's the first one. And here's the preset that we're using here. The simple harmony to create the atmosphere. And here's the second layer. Comparing to the first layer, this layer sounds more pitched up. And now let's have a listen to the atmosphere in the mix. And now we will create the panning on these atmosphere layers. We will send the signal of the first layer a little bit to the right and the signal of the second layer a little bit to the left. Okay guys, we've done all the work with the drums, bass and synths, and now let's move to the arrangement. I created the simple arrangement here because I don't know exactly which arrangement will be in the final release of the track. In the versions that I heard on the radio shows and the live sets, the intro of this track is the one note of the main lead. Right there we will apply the simple after filter and the automation on the Valhalla Supermassive to create a smoother entrance to the breakdown. And as you can see, we added a simple FX section. And now we came to the breakdown, and here is the interesting trick that we created on a reverb. As you can see, we placed the Valhalla Supermassive right after the auto filter. And just because of this, we're having this reverb tail. And now let's place the Valhalla Supermassive before the after filter, and let's listen to the result. And now we can hear that the reverb tail is disappeared. And because of this, we're replacing the after filter and right after the Valhalla Supermassive. We will use the same trick in the build-up and in the outro of the drop. But now let's get back to the breakdown. As you can see, we're having the automation on the bass section with the help of the utility. We're automating the gain and also the after filter on the synths. And now we're slowly moving to the build-up. And in the build-up we're having a few interesting automations here. The first one, we're slowly automating the gain on the open hi-hat. And the second automation that I mentioned before on the tremolo. So on the synths we're having the three automations at the time. The first one is tremolo, the second one is the reverb, and the third one is the gain. We're reducing a few dB right before the drop. And also we're creating automation of the cutting lower frequencies on the bass. And of course we're adding the simple tonal riser alongside the all automations. And here's the final result of the drop that we deconstructed a few minutes ago. We're slowly coming to the second breakdown, and as you can see, we're using the automation on the Valhalla Supermassive on the synths. And in the second breakdown, I've added the Vox loop from this original ID. I'm sorry for the quality of this Vox loop because I've extracted it with the help of the AI. In this breakdown we're having the same automations on the bass and on the synths, but right there we're having the automations on the Vox. So we're slowly opening up all the elements that we're having here, the basses, the synths and the Vox. And now let's have a listen all elements together. Now we're coming to the second build-up, and the only difference is in the drums. In the first build-up we're slowly opening up the open hi-hat, and in the second build-up we're slowly opening up the snares using the after filter. So the only difference between the first drop and the second one, in the second drop we are opened all the elements from the start of the drop. Melodic part of the second drop 2 times longer comparing to the first one. guys, we're preparing to go to the outro. As you can hear in the outro of the track, we're using only the kick, the bass and the vox. That's it guys, today we deconstructed the latest ID by the Prydz. We deconstructed the drums, the bass, the synths and the arrangement. And now it's time for the emotional moment. Yep, that's it guys, and I usually thank you for watching at the end of the tutorial. But today, as I said before, is a special one. I'm thanking not only you, but the Prydz, who was one of the key figures in my music production journey. I want to share with you the moment that happened on the last Ultra Miami Music. Let's watch this together.
And forever will be a part of the original Swedish House Mafia. Make some noise for our brother Prydz, right? Always here. Let me see those hands, Miami. Let me see those arms. This happens once every 25th year. Are you feeling